Hello, and welcome to HR Connections. Our channel is dedicated to finding success factors of professionals and business owners at the top of their game. In our series, Global Achievers, we seek out and we speak to those top professionals and business owners from around the world. In today's episode, we have PollyAnna Brown. She owns a PR agency in the US, and today she'll be discussing with us on how to evaluate a PR agency if you're considering on hiring one for your business, how to measure your results of success, and finally, how to get earned organic media. So stick around, we'll be right back. Well, hello. This is going to be a very exciting episode for sure. I have the lovely PollyAnna Brown with us. She has been in the entertainment business since she was 6 months old. Literally, she had a modeling contract before she could even walk or talk. So, PollyAnna, how are you today?
I'm doing really well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
Okay, awesome. I know you're going to add a lot of value to our audience, and I think this will be a great episode. So let's just get started. Tell us about the early years. The modeling contract, even before you could walk or talk. So let's begin with that.
Absolutely. So I grew up in the 80s, and the 80s was the years of pageantry.
Mhm,
And so my mom put me into a beauty contest when I was 6 months old.
mhm,
Shockingly enough, I won.
mhm,
And it came with a modeling contract. So I started modeling that young and continued to do beauty contests and things like that. And then as I got older, I started acting and singing and doing theater and all of that kind of stuff. So it really just kind of built from there.
Okay, awesome. Perfect. And after that, obviously, you went on to complete several degrees, from my understanding, right? A couple of masters as well. And what basically led you into public relations, if we can get there?
Absolutely. So, as a performer, I really loved storytelling, and it was just such an integral part of who I am and how I interact with the world. And especially because I have a deep belief that storytelling can change the world, it can change our hearts and our minds and our perspectives. And all of that is so beautiful and amazing. And so, with that, I went into my first master's degree, which was a master's in psychology. And I had wanted to be a writer, but it wasn't something that I felt confident necessarily in pursuing because I'd been performing for so long.
Right.
So it was a bit of a fish out of water, even though I had always had a strong knack for it and it was always in my wheelhouse.
Mhm.
So I was talking to my professor and she said, Polly, your papers are really good. You should write articles. And I went, okay. And it kind of gave me this permission slip to go after writing articles for magazines. And so I started pitching, and within about 90 days, I was published on 4 continents around the world, getting paid to do it, which was really fun. And all of a sudden, I had this confidence in my writing and in the publicity aspect in journalism. And so I went back to my professor and I thanked her for the advice. And she just kind of laughed at me. She was like, Polly, I meant academic journals, not magazines. I was like, oh, oops. So that was the oops that completely changed the trajectory of my life. And so, as that journalism career evolved, eventually I was helping business owners tell their stories and connect online and use storytelling in order to do that. And eventually they started asking me how to get publicity on their own. And I went, oh, yeah, this is a service, isn't it? It wasn't something I expected to do. And so we started serving our clients utilizing the publicity skills that I had already been utilizing for years. So it was really powerful.
Okay, perfect. So I guess your journey into the PR space, or setting up your own agency, that was way back, if I recall correctly. Was that 2015?
So, yes, in 2015 is when I started the business with the storytelling aspect. And then my amazing business partner came into the picture in, I think, late 2016, early 2017. And we kind of got together and put together a full functioning, all hands on deck marketing and media firm, which was absolutely phenomenal. So I no longer had to do it on my own.
Okay, perfect. And what are some of the services that you're providing?
Absolutely. So we cover everything from marketing to messaging to monetizing media. And we also do ghostwriting for books and things like that. So we do anything from strategy and, teaching DIY stuff for people who really want to implement in-house. And we also do the done with you stuff where people are learning, but having us by their side as they implement. And we go all the way up to done for you, where clients are a little more hands off and we do all of the heavy lifting.
Okay, perfect. And in terms of, I I want to ask like your popular services, right? What are most of the popular services which are available by clients?
Absolutely. So I would say our most popular services are done for you publicity and our done for you ghostwriting. And so the done for you publicity really focuses on getting a custom media mix, getting people out into the world where their audiences are hungry. So that way they can have their message making the biggest impact and really driving that traffic over to their platform to expand it, to bring in new leads, new clients, all of that beautiful stuff. And then our Done For You ghostwriting really focuses on how do we build a platform with a traditionally published book. And we do everything from soup to nuts. And we really focus on getting the idea and the concept right and getting that outline done. Then we do all of the writing, the book proposal. We go after the agents for them. We send those queries and we make sure that it's the right fits. And then we stay on all the way through publishing and helping them edit and all of those things. So it's really comprehensive packages.
Okay, perfect. And how would you recommend a potential client who wanted to evaluate a PR agency?
Yes. So when you're looking to get publicity, it's really important to kind of know the rules and the regulations and all of those things. So just like you would learn them for marketing and what's legal, what's not legal, what's ethical, what's not ethical, those are really important pieces, especially because publicity is a form of marketing. So there are two different forms. There's paid, which is advertising, and then there's organic and free, which is publicity and your social media and other pieces of content marketing. And so you want to make sure that if you're going to an agency, that you're asking the questions of, do they pay for their media placements? If they do, it's actually buying advertorials and other pieces of advertising instead of getting that free organic publicity, which is really more of what you want. So you want to know that first of all. The second thing that you want to ask is, do they know what journalistic ethics are? If they cannot tell you what journalistic ethics are, run. And not because they're bad, but because that just is someone who's really new to the space, who doesn't know the rules. And it's really easy to break the rules when you don't know what they are. And a lot of people don't even know to look into them to see what they are. So it's not that there's this big bad wolf out to get you. It's just there's some ignorance in the space. So that's a really great way to make sure that you're on the right track with who you're hiring.
Okay, perfect. So that actually leads me to a couple of different questions. I think the first question would be that, as you've said, that there are two pieces to it. One is the organic, which is free. Another one is the paid.
Mhm.
So on top of that, obviously there are agency fees which someone needs to pay, right?
Yes.
So essentially, if someone is using paid advertising, there are two pieces to it. There is the paid part, which goes to the different platforms, I'm assuming, right?
Mhm.
And then there's the agency fee. Whereas
Yes.
organic, you're just paying the fee to the agency, correct?
Absolutely. And just to kind of differentiate it a little bit more,
Mhm.
the fee to the agency is really covering their time and their effort and their experience, all of those things that are going to help you get those results faster, take it off of your plate, which is different than paying for actual placement. Those are completely different things.
Right, right, got it. So, coming back to that part, what would you say the market rates are, or how do you actually charge your clients?
So market rates vary. On the lower end, you can get some done for you publicity for about 4,000 a month, and those are usually younger firms. And they don't always have the best results. And especially at that price point, you're probably not going to find guaranteed results. Um, Other places can charge upwards of 10,000, 20,000, and more a month, and with a 6 month term minimum. So it really depends. There's a lot of fluidity in there, and again, that is experience and what they specialize in, and all those kinds of things. And then for us, we do it per package. So we do packages based on how many placements we're going to give our clients.
Mhm.
And we don't specify the outlets. That's one of those really important differentiating factors. You can't really do that. It's not really possible to organically promise specific outlets. So we do placements. We work until those placements are done, and we do those from anywhere from 12.5 thousand all the way up to 100,000, depending on how many placements are involved.
Okay, all right, got it. So, if I wanted to get published on Forbes, you wouldn't possibly guarantee that, right?
No,
Okay,
no,
okay.
especially right now. No.
Okay. So, what would you say then about certain companies who are going ahead and actually advertising that if you wanted to get on Bloomberg or Forbes or Yahoo or any of these popular ones, right? How are they actually guaranteeing that for a certain amount of money, you will get published in those publications?
So I'm going to be very delicate in handling this answer.
Okay.
But most often, agencies that are promising specific outlets
Mhm.
are doing one of a couple things. One, they are getting those advertorials that we talked about, which they're paying for placement, which is above board. When it's an advertorial, it's marked as sponsored, it's marked an ad, and all of that, and that's appropriate. The issue is they don't always tell their clients that what it is. That's what it is,
Mhm.
and so there's a little gray area there. The other thing is there are a lot of agencies acting illegally. And in the United States, we have what's called the FTC, which is the Federal Trade Commission. And the Federal Trade Commission states that we are not allowed to pay for placement without it being marked. And many of these big publications have rules for their contributors that they are not allowed to accept payment for placement. It's a big rule that they have. They have to sign a contract and everything. And what has happened is a lot of these agencies are paying contributors under the table illegally in order to get those results. So if someone's offering you a specific publication with a price point, I would be very leery and very careful.
Okay, perfect. I think that also leads to something you said earlier about ethics and
Yeah.
following the rules and things like that. Because I think, most business owners or solopreneurs, someone who's looking for some publicity out there, they see one of their competitors like on one of these publications, and they figure, you know what? We have the same set of qualifications, maybe the same type of clients, we're working in the same space. So if that person got published, why can't I? Right? But as you rightfully said, that more experienced agencies follow a set of guidelines and rules. Correct. And I think that is also very important because what could be some of the blowbacks to, for example, a small business owner or somebody who is using one of these services, in your opinion?
So the blowback can be really intense. It's more intense for the publicity agency that's engaging in the practices. because the clients don't always know.
Mhm.
So that's one of the important pieces is the clients don't always know. They really are victims in the situation. Um, and so that's really sad. However, if there are two main things that could happen with the agency where the publication could bring up charges against the agency, and so could the FTC, because FTC guidelines are laws. They're not, they're, we refer to them as rules because it's a little nicer word, but they're actually laws and fully enforceable. So that is one of the important things with that. As far as blowback, the placement that you paid for is taken down a lot of the time. So that thing that you just paid 10,000 for is now gone and you got nothing out of it. So that's something that can happen. The other thing is your reputation being associated with that other place can be tainted. And those are things that can heal with time. Those aren't the things that I would worry about. The thing I would worry about is um, being blacklisted. That happens.
Okay.
So if you're someone who's known to pay for placement, you will get blacklisted across the board if an editor finds out. So that's really important. The second thing is you could lose your standing with the publication, even if you didn't know. So if you wanted to do it the right way after, they may not ever accept you. So those are really important on top of the placement being lost altogether. So any potential benefit that you would have had long term is now gone. So it's really a short-sighted play to engage in anything like that.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. That's so well said. And I think it should also serve as a reminder for a lot of people who may not actually know what the consequences are, right? Because
Yeah.
a lot of people are not very well educated uh, in this space, so to speak, right? Um, so I think one of the key things which has been brought about with just talking to you is that how do you sort of create and maintain those relationships with these different media outlets?
So I'm going to give you the weird answer because when I do this for clients, I actually pitch as them. Because what I have found is that media people cannot stand publicity people on average. And it's because they operate differently. There's a different thought process, there's a whole different system of values, and so it can get a little contentious. And so I like to teach my people that we're building their relationships with the media instead of building mine, which doesn't do a whole lot for them, especially if I mess something up, if I accidentally offended someone, if I made someone angry at some point, then that's not going to help you. So we want to make sure that we're avoiding that as much as possible. And so when I pitch for my clients, we're building their media contacts from scratch. And then I hand them over at the end of the package unless they renew, in which case we just keep going. And that I find is much more empowering for the client because that way they actually have their media contacts. They're not, beholden to me in order to, have access to that. And they can continue building those relationships over time, which are really precious things to have. So it's more about showing up, understanding what the editor or the media professional really cares about, which is usually their audience. And so if you put their audience first and put yourself on the back burner, then you earn the right to engage with them. And that's something that they look for. They really want to know that you know their audience, you care about their audience, and can bring significant value. And when you do that, the relationship's really easy peasy from there.
Okay, perfect. Very well said. Um, I think the next thing that I would want to know, and I know we have discussed this briefly, is talking about success, because ultimately that's what our channel is about. We look at success factors, not only for the professionals and the business owners, but also their impact on their clients.
Yeah.
So I believe you wanted to share a success story for one of your clients.
Absolutely. And if it's okay, can we touch really quickly on the difference between getting success with it and not?
Sure, absolutely. Let's start off with that, and then we'll lead into the story itself.
Cool. So there are definitely people that I talk to every day who have spent thousands upon thousands of dollars on publicity to not get anything. And that can be anything from not getting placements to their placements not yielding anything for the business. And so it's really important to know what are the factors that create that success and go from there. And so the first factor that really matters is making sure you're in the right place. It's really easy to go logo hunting, as I call it, which is, going after the big names and really focusing on having these impressive logos on your website or on your sales page or your social media, wherever it happens to be. But it can lose sight of, are you in the right place? Because if you are not in the place where your audience is hungry and asking questions, then you're in the wrong place, because that space is the place where they can actually hear you. When they are actively searching on an outlet for the solutions that you provide, and then you show up there, it becomes a very kismet type relationship for them. And they can follow that over to your platform or your offers or whatever it happens to be. And so that becomes a very positive experience for them. But for example, if I had a client who was a marketing expert, I would not put them in Cosmo in order to get clients and leads, right? It's one thing if we have a personal story that's just really important to them, right? And a part of their soul that they really want to talk about, that's a different thing. But if you're looking to make sales, get leads, get clients, then you want to make sure you're in the hungry spaces where you belong, where your audience can hear you, instead of in the places where they're playing and they're not paying attention to you. So that's the first piece. The second piece is you need some type of conversion content. So it's not really a great idea to send people to your website. They can get distracted, they can click around and then click away. And you really want to make sure that you're getting them on your email list and capturing that lead. And from that thank you page on your email list, you can send them to your social media or wherever you want them to go. And that's totally fine. But you want to have that journey structured a bit. And once you have those systems and processes in place, then it can be leveraged for you. So those are the things that you want to be thinking about that really create the success. And that goes into the types of publicity that you choose, because some types are more leverageable than other types. But we've had great success with our clients. And one of our clients, she had a massive package. And on her second article that we had out, she followed her leveraging plan. She made the right calls with everything. And she ended up making $20,000 in new business within the second article. So that was a huge success. And another one of our clients let us know that about 20 to 30% of her leads are coming from the articles that we put out. So it's a really powerful way to build your platform and actually get clients in the door.
Awesome. That was very inspiring. So just so that everyone's clear on that, basically what you're saying is that the client we just talked about, $20,000, that is the new business which was generated as a result of you guys publishing a couple of different articles. The leads came from there, correct?
Yes, the leads came from the articles. And we do a leveraging plan with every client. And so I let them know the different ways to leverage their publicity in order to bring new people in. And so not only did it result in new leads that were completely brand new, but it also got some people off of the fence who were considering working with this person. In order to make that decision, the article was kind of that defining factor of, oh, you work this way. I see you more clearly. This sounds like it will work for me. And it helped to close those sales as well.
Okay, awesome. Um, what kind of structure do you have in place at your agency for executing these projects?
So this is where my nerd is going to show a bit.
That's
I
fine.
I am a sci-fi fantasy nerd and I like to have systems that are really simple. And so we have something in place called the Big Book of D&D. And so instead of Dungeons and Dragons, it stands for deadlines and deliverables. And what we have in that is it's one document that really tracks their entire program. So it tracks all of their story ideas, it tracks all of their bios, it tracks all of the outlets that we're going after. It has a timeline associated. It has the drafts of the articles and them published. It is a one-stop shop so that everything is hyperlinked in one home base. And what it allows us to do is it allows us to see what story ideas are working, which ones aren't working, where do we need to pivot, how do we need to change things up, and all of that is so vital. So having it in that one space is really, really powerful.
Okay, perfect. I think we're sort of going to be winding down this exciting conversation. So one of the things I guess I wanted to know is how have you seen PR morphing over the years? Because
Yeah.
see, many years ago, and you can correct me if I'm mistaken, but I thought of PR as getting your article published on a newspaper or maybe a news outlet covering you, right? Or maybe for TV or newspaper or a magazine. That's what PR was, at least to me years ago. But with digital media, social media, and so many other forms of media these days, how have you seen it morphed and what is it today?
It is so powerful today. There's really never been a better time to get publicity. There's never been more opportunity.
Mhm.
And the beautiful thing about digital media is it lives forever. It's indexed, it's SEO driven, which is, we could all use more SEO power in our lives. And it's such a beautiful thing because what we're finding is that the stories of rags to riches and making millions and all those things, they're not really impressive anymore. And it's because so many people are doing it, which is a beautiful thing to have more millionaires than we've had in previous years. And for those to not be astonishing stories, it's really powerful. And one of the biggest shifts that we've seen is a lot of media outlets are shifting their digital media from free to paid subscriptions. And so, what this means is now their audience has to pay for the content that they were used to getting for free. So, a lot of the fluff pieces and a lot of the clickbaity pieces are going away in order to get really serious value in, because what the editors want to see is their subscribers really getting significant transformations and coming back to the platform over and over and over again, because that's where they're generating their revenue now. Whereas it used to be ad revenue that pushed it. And that was predominantly from the paid subscriptions for physical magazines and what they could charge for the ad space. Now that that's shifted, they need new revenue models, and new revenue models have required higher value articles. So, this is perfect for anyone who is an expert, who is a thought leader, or who has any kind of expertise that they can share. It's a really, really great opportunity.
Okay, awesome. Um, I think one of the final things that I would want to know from you is that who should pursue a career in PR?
Oh, that's such a good question. I would say if you really love people and you are more of a behind the scenes person, it is a really good fit, especially if you're a writer or if you have a strategic mind that is very human based, because it's a very connection forward space. And you wouldn't think it is because it can feel a little stark at times and people can be a little short, but it's just because they're super busy. It's not personal. Um, but in working with clients, I feel like I'm always going to champion them and I'm fighting for their message and I'm, fighting to get them in the right places. And in order to do that, you have to genuinely care. It's not just something to pick up a paycheck. You need to understand the different storytelling angles. You need to understand the strategy behind it. And you really need to care about the people because you're making a long-term commitment with your clients. And so, in order for them to have the best experience possible and for you to get them the best results possible, you have to be relationship oriented as well as creative and strategic. So, if you are a mix of those and you are very interested in learning media and things like that, then it's probably a good fit for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think I'm just gonna end with a bonus question, if that's okay with you.
Of
Um,
course.
Say as a small business owner, right? Maybe a coach or maybe a local moving business or a cleaning business, they could definitely use some PR and organic PR as well, right?
Mhm.
Um, what would you recommend for them? Because their budget is tight. They are not really sure which route to take. So in that case, I'm sure you've dealt with clients such as these. So what would you recommend?
So for me, what I recommend is I recommend getting a really, really great training program that you can either do on your free time or you can hire a VA
Okay.
to really master that for you and bring it in house. Those are the ways that it's going to be more leverageable. And because publicity is one of those things that really can blow you up, especially in a local market, which is great. And the way that we do it, we focus on regular recurring publicity. So getting people in the media once a week or more is really the ideal that we strive for. And so there are particular strategies that you can use for that. And so having someone in your business who is taking that off of your plate, but that you don't have to pay the same fees you would an agency, that is a really great way to go. It's cost effective. And especially if that person is willing to commit to you for a long time and you're interested in a lifetime relationship with them, it's a much easier way to get those benefits without having the high cost that an agency can have.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. So if anyone wanted to find you, what would be the best way to get in touch with you?
Absolutely. Hit me up on social media. That is the best place. Pretty much everywhere I am at PollyAnna Writes. And I am also sending you that checklist link. So if anyone wants to kind of have a checklist for their publicity and know what level of publicity they're at, as well as some really cool tips and tricks, then you will have my email directly from that checklist. So that's another great way to get a hold of me.
Okay, perfect. So, all her contact information is going to be in the description box below. Definitely reach out to her if you have any PR needs, if you want to discuss strategy on how to grow your business through organic media and things like that. Um, Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate that. I know you've given a lot of value to our audience, and I'm sure they appreciate it as well. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for watching. Really appreciate that. If you like what you saw, then hit the like button. It really helps with YouTube's algorithm. If there's a particular type of professional you want featured on our channel, then leave a comment below and we'll try our best. And finally, we'll be posting at least once or twice every week. So if you want to see similar kind of videos, then subscribe to the channel. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.